Hello friends, my name is Saurabh Likha. Let's talk about something which is very key for any organizations which is into sales or business operations, that is having an effective and efficient way of sales closures. When I talk about effectiveness, this means that you are having your closures which are a lot effective. You do not have any post sales issues, you do not have any delivery issues, you do not have any issues where customer has some understanding problem and whatever you have communicated is actually being understood by the customer. When you talk about efficient, it means that you are having your sales closure within a time. Everything is a cost. So if your sales closures are not happening within a time, means you're incurring more cost, and end of the day it will affect the profitability of the organization. So how to have sales closure which are effective? And so the first key thing which is very important for sales closure is the customer qualification. When I talk about customer qualification, this means that you only are approaching customers who are qualified for the sales closures, means you have set some kind of parameters that these are the kind of customers whom we are going to approach and bring into our system. This is the very key thing for any kind of a business. If you're in a startup organization or a growing organization at the very initial stages of the organization, or even a large organization, you cannot focus on all the segments, all the industries at one point of time. You need to focus on one specific segment or one specific industry where you are having your sales efforts. So it's very key for that matter that the first thing which is very important at that moment is KYC, means that is know your customer. So when I talk about KYC, that is know your customer, you should only bring those kind of customers whom you are approaching, whom the parameters for them you have already fixed, and your sales team for that matter only are bringing those set of customers into your system. Another thing which is very important for the customer qualification is what I call as man buys. Man buys means MAN BUYS. You would be seeing that this is there on the screen as well. Man buys. For M, it's money, means the customer should have money. It should not be happening that you're focusing on sales efforts and the customer does not have money to buy your product and services. When I talk about A means authority. Your sales teams are approaching somebody who has authority within the organization to buy. Either he is a decision maker or a key influencer. Because if they are approaching the main guys, then only that sales conversion is going to happen. The next thing which is very important is N. N is for need. This means that the customer should have a need, then only he will buy. However good your product or service is, unless and until your product or service is required by the customer, then only he will buy your product or service. Otherwise he is not going to buy your product or service. The next set of parameters is buys. When I talk about B means budget. So a lot of B2B organizations for that matter, or even an individual, even though they have money or authority to buy, but they do not have budget for that year or that point of time to buy that product or services. Let's say a middle class home, they might have a good amount of money, but they would not have allocated a budget to buy maybe a large TV, a large LED TV for that matter. So it means at that point of time that the organization or individual has earmarked that kind of a budget also for that product and service. So the salesperson responsibility is there basically to see whether the budget is allocated for that product or not. When I talk about next, which is the U is the uniqueness. Uniqueness means what kind of value are you giving to the customer? Unless and until you are giving a value to the customer having all the parameters set, he may not buy your product or service from you. Why means why now. This is required to define that kind of time, how much time the customer will take to basically close that deal. S is very important. It means special relationship. The example which I took is of the smart TV or an LED TV an individual wants to buy. But where is that relationship coming in? Where is the comfort coming in? Where is the trust coming in? There are so many sellers available in the market. Unless and until you have that kind of a relationship with the customer, he will only buy with you when he has a relationship and trust with you. So that's the reason that's when I talk about S means the special relationship that the seller has with the buyer. Now let's focus on something which is called as the behavior qualification. When I talk about the behavior qualification means what kind of behavior is the customer exhibiting in front of your sales team or salesperson, such that you can judge whether the sales closure is happening within the time frame or is not happening with the time frame. When I talk about the behavior, I also talk about that the another thing which your sales team or salesperson need to focus upon the also what kind of statements is the customer making. A lot of times a customer will say, I do not need your product or service. I have everything with me. So this customer is very overconfident. This customer is overconfident. This means, I think this is a very interesting case. This is very interesting case. I have seen in a lot of instances where customer says, I have everything what you want to offer to me. Then this case you should pursue very strongly, because the chances of closure are very high in this case. This is my personal experience, because whenever the customer is overconfident, maybe he is not looking at a lot of things which your product or service may offer. If you have something unique at this point of time to offer and customer is using something where your product or service is better, then you should pitch in and try to convince customer to come to your, that at that point of time you should pursue the customer and convince him to buy your product and service. The another thing I have seen, which I have put in red, you can see that list on the screen, that a lot of time customer says, I want to buy ASAP, I want to buy as soon as possible. The moment you have done the sales page or you have given him the first call. So that's a big no-no. I have seen these customers are very anxious and they are not evaluating your offer or the value which you are providing to them properly. And this happens that most of the times I've seen that these kind of deals or these kind of sales closures do not happen very fast. So you need to be a bit cautious when you are seeing this kind of behavior. Another thing which I have given in the middle range of the sales closure in terms of time is that a lot of customers whom we are approaching, the person whom we are talking to says kind of language this customer is speaking is, I need to get a buy-in from the other team members. I need to talk to the technology team, the product team, the purchase team, even the senior management to buy this product and service. So these are the kind of sales closures which are going to take time. So you have to pursue them very patiently. You need to talk to other team members. You need to go and make them presentations such that this deal happens. But this deal, in my experience, generally takes a bit more time rather than the things which are closing very fast. So you can see the statements which are there as of now available on the screen, and these are being coded either the greens means these are the closures which I feel with when these kind of statements are used by the customer, these sales closures will happen fast. When I talk about something which is written in brown, this means that they may take a bit more time because the customer is not very decisive and maybe the decision making is going to take time to close that. And when I talk about reds are something which are there, you should be dealing them with caution. That's my view, because out of my experience, that is my view, that these things may take a longer time than normal deals, and you should handle them with care and see if your time is not wasted in these kind of transactions. So let's talk about the next topic, which is that what affects these sales closures. I think the biggest thing which is there is the customer and buyer reputation is very, very important. When you are approaching a B2B customer or a B2B customer, it's very important that you check the reputation of the customer from the market, from the people who have already dealt them, maybe your friends in the industry who have dealt with this customer and the buyer, that how often how fast they close, how well they define their need, and whether they close or just waste the salesperson time. So the reputation of the customer is the customer and the buyer is very important for you to predict whether the sales closure will happen within the time frame you are predicting. The second thing which is important is whether the customer is ready to buy or customer is not ready to buy. Maybe a lot of times you are speaking to somebody within the organization who has a good reputation, even the customer has a good reputation, but the specific deal which you are dealing with, maybe that's an issue. So what you need to do at this point of time is that you need to go approach the different stakeholders within the organization and try to judge that how fast this deal is going to close. Let's say you are trying to pitch a new software to an organization and you are talking to somebody in the product or the marketing side. So you should try to approach with obviously the buyer's permission, maybe the technology guys, the purchase guys, to understand that how fast or how badly the customer needs this product and services, because this will help you understand what stage the deal is, and then you will be able to take a decision whether to focus your energies on that opportunity or not. I have seen a lot of times that you are talking to somebody in the organization and at some point of time, which is you have already spent a lot of energies on that deal, that you understand that this person whom you're talking is actually not a decision maker. It happens a lot of time that when you are talking something of a large value to a customer, the customer is engaging with you and you feel, and he has a very a reputable kind of a designation with the organization also, but after some time you try to you figure it out that this guy is not the right guy for this product and service. It has happened to me a lot of times that even you are talking to somebody as a senior vice president or even vice president of the organization, and later you come to know that this was not the guy for this product and service, but out of curiosity or he wanted to have some kind of a standing within the market, that he was talking to you such that he can give this information to his management such that the organization feels that this guy is key or important within the organization. So you need to check whether the guy whom you are talking to is the real decision maker or a key influencer. Is he having some real stake in the buying process or not in the buying process? The next thing which is very important to predict in the sales closure is what stage are you actually in within the buying process. So all organizations have some kind of a time frame for all kind of an opportunities. So if the opportunity is very strong, they put into the priority. So you need to know the priority within the organization, that what kind of process it's lying in. Whether now you are at the purchase or you are at marketing or you have reached the senior management, that's the thing which actually defines the kind of an probability in terms of closure. And the another thing which I want to focus actually now is that a lot of salespeople actually are spending too much time on the presentations to the stakeholders within the organization. They talk endlessly about the product and service to all the key stakeholders. My suggestion to them would be that rather than spending time on your product or presentations, spend time with the customers on the challenges which they are having or the aspirations they want to achieve through your product and service. When you spend the time and you focus your energies on their challenges and aspirations, what happens is that the understanding of the customer with their challenge and the aspirations vis-a-vis your product gets more deeper, and you form a very strong relationship with the customer. The chances of this sales closure becomes very high. A lot of times I have seen that the salesperson gets anxious at this point of time, and this is what actually affects the sales closure. The another thing which you need to also focus upon is that you should not be giving a lot of discounts at the time of the sales closure. When the deal is at the closure level, at the last stage, and at that point, if you give a huge discount, it gives a kind of an impression to the customer that you were trying to fool him and you had kept a lot of things with yourself, and now you're offering that discount because maybe your competition is offering some kind of good margins or good discount to the customer. So he feels cheated if you are giving huge level of discounts. So I would suggest that have a optimum margin with yourself for the final closures, and if and that should not be a huge one, maybe 10 or maximum 20% of the deal, such that it helps you to close, but it does not put the customer at unease, or it does not create a distrust issue such that your deal or the opportunity gets into a limbo. Let's go to the final thing, which is what kind of closing statements you should make such that you actually know whether the customer is going to close or he's going to take time. I think if you have given presentations, you have had deep discussions about the customer challenges and the aspirations you want to achieve, and you are having a good engagement, then you should not shy away from asking to customer, when are you closing this order? Or if it's a time that customer has asked for a POC, which is a proof of concept, he wants to understand your product service in the physical environment, then before even doing that POC, you should ask, sir, if we do this POC successfully, then when can I expect the order? So these statements and the answers from the customer will actually help you decide whether the deal, the sales closure is happening as per your expectations or it's going to take more time. My name is Saurabh Likha. I hope you have liked this video. I hope the insights which I am trying to give to you all is adding value to you. If you have liked this video, please like, share and comment, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.